And greetings from beautiful Augusta, Georgia, home of golf, guns, and good-looking women. And Lord, we've got some good-looking women here. If you missed last week's video, then you probably want to go on YouTube and pull up the Angry American and watch it. Otherwise, I'll give you just a very short recap because this video is going to be kind of dovetailing with what we were talking about last week. And that is that the Constitution of the United States of America is a contract. That's what it is. It is between, to recap, it is between the people of the United States, the states, and the national government. Sorry, Puerto Rico, you're not a state. That said, I also put out that we are, at this point, in breach of the contract that is the United States Constitution. Now, today's video, what we're going to talk about is some common myths, and we're just going to dispel them right now. Okay, first myth is that the Constitution was basically a document that was hastily drafted over a period of 40 days by a bunch of guys who just showed up and decided to do exactly what their states told them not to do. And that is reform the Articles of Confederation. Okay, here's the one thing that your government school is not telling you and hasn't. There was a period of about a decade between the end of the Revolutionary War, the Articles of Confederation, and then the adoption of the United States Constitution. Now, these folks didn't just show up in Philadelphia and hammer something out in 40 days. They had 10 years to sit back and correspond with one another and decide on how they were going to do it. So yeah, they did show up with the nod and wink of we're going to just fix the problem. And they did. They created the Constitution. Okay, myth number 2. The Constitution gives you rights. No, it doesn't. It doesn't give you any rights at all. What the Constitution does is it prohibits the federal government from violating the rights that you have under God. Okay? That's what it does. Now, most of the Bill of Rights was already it was a part of English common law. But the framers thought better and went, you know what? We need to codify this. And so, no, the federal government shouldn't be able to access your cell phone. No, that's against the Constitution. And that brings me to my final and third little myth, that the Constitution is a living document. That's what people want to say. It's a living document. No, the hell it's not. It's a contract. It's less than 5,000 words. It's not that hard to understand. It is a contract. It's not a living anything. You know what? You got a mortgage on your house. Here's the little point I'm going to make. You can't go back to your mortgage company and say, I have decided to look and review my contract with you, and even though back 10 years ago we agreed on these points, now I see it a little bit differently. That's what these living contract or living Constitution folks want you to think, that we can just go back and re-envision what the Constitution should be. No, that ain't the way it works. A contract is a contract. And those folks who go for this living Constitution bullshit, they will say, well, the framers didn't foresee the future, and they didn't think that we were going to be living in modern times. Yes, the hell they did. They were experimenting with electricity. They were experimenting with hot air balloons. Okay, so let's take one little point. Is the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, is that a constitutional creation? Yes, it is. It is. Because when you buy a ticket to get on an airplane and you travel over state lines, you are being a part of interstate commerce. And the Constitution gives the federal government the authority to regulate interstate commerce. Period. Education, a different story. The Department of Housing and Urban Development, different story. The Department of Energy, different story. We're going to, at some point in these videos, talk about all of those things. But what I want you to understand, and we've done it now with 2 videos. Number 1, the Constitution is a contract. It is a contract between the people, the states, and the federal government. Number 2, you don't get your rights from the contract. You don't get it. They are yours. The Constitution is there to stop the government from violating those rights. And number 3, it ain't a living document. It is what it is. It says what it says. And in the words of Antonin Scalia, the Supreme Court Justice, it doesn't say what it doesn't say. End roll.